What happens when a single monkey becomes powerful enough to challenge heaven itself? Sun Wukong was given a place in the heavenly palace. But instead of becoming a servant of heaven, he became its greatest trouble. After being assigned to guard the Garden of Immortal Peaches, he makes a choice that changes everything. He steals the Peaches of Immortality, drinks the Emperor's heavenly wine, and consumes the pills of eternal life. Then he escapes back to his kingdom, forcing heaven to send wave after wave of celestial warriors. The Nine Luminaries, the four heavenly kings, the 28 Constellations. In this chapter, one rebellious monkey stands against the armies of heaven. This is Journey to the West. Chapter 5. Disrupting the Peach Banquet, the great sage steals the elixir. With revolt in heaven, all the gods march down to catch the demon monkey. So, the great sage equal to heaven was, at heart, still a demon monkey. He didn't understand official ranks, and he didn't care about salary. All he wanted was a title to his name. The immortal clerks from his residence waited on him day and night, and his life was simple: 3 meals and a good bed. With no worries to tie him down, he was truly free. In his spare time, he'd go meet friends, wander through the palaces, and mingle with immortals of all kinds. When he ran into the 3 pure ones, he'd just call them old-timer. If he saw the 4 emperors, they got a casual, "Your Majesty." As for the 9 luminaries, the generals of the 5 directions, the 28 constellations, the 4 heavenly kings, the 12 earthly branches, and the gods of the heavenly river, to him, they were all just brothers. They talked as equals. One day he'd wander east, the next day he'd roam west, coming and going on his clouds without a care. One day at morning court, an immortal named Shi Jingyang stepped forward, bowed to the ground, and said, "Your Majesty, this great sage equal to heaven has nothing to do but roam around making friends with every star and deity, regardless of rank. I'm worried that with so much idle time, he might stir up trouble. Maybe we should give him something to manage and prevent any future problems." The Jade Emperor liked this idea and sent for Wukong. The Monkey King came bouncing in happily. "Your Majesty, what promotion do you have for Old Sun this time?" The Jade Emperor said, "We see you have too much free time, so we're giving you a job. You'll be in charge of the Garden of Immortal Peaches. Take good care of it, day and night." The great sage was delighted. He gave a quick bow to say thanks and hurried off. He couldn't wait to dive into his new role. He went straight to the Garden of Immortal Peaches to check things out. The local earth god stopped him at the gate. "Great sage, where are you heading?" "I've been put in charge of the Garden of Immortal Peaches by the Jade Emperor himself," Wukong announced. "I'm here for an inspection." The earth god quickly saluted and called over the whole crew: the tree planters, the water carriers, the peach trimmers, and the sweepers. They all kowtowed to the great sage, then led him inside. And what a sight that was! The blossoms, absolutely gorgeous. The trees, bursting with fruit. Brilliant flowers covered every branch, while heavy fruit bent the boughs low. The peaches hung from the branches like clusters of colorful balls. The flowers were piled like rouge. These trees bloomed and bore fruit across 1,000 years, untouched by seasons, maturing over 10,000 ages. The early ripe peaches blushed like a drunkard's cheeks. The still green ones clung tightly to their stems. Some fruits glowed with misty emerald hues, while others caught the sunlight and gleamed a dazzling red. Beneath the trees grew rare flowers and eternal plants that never wilted, their colors perfectly arranged. To the left and right stood towers, terraces, and pavilions that seemed to float in midair, always veiled in rosy clouds. These weren't ordinary peaches from some mortal garden. The royal mother of the jade pool had planted them herself. The great sage wandered around for a long while, then asked the earth god, "How many trees are in this place?" The earth god answered, 3,600 total. The first 1,200 in the front have small blossoms and small fruit, and they ripen once every 3,000 years. Eat one of those, and you'll become an immortal with a body light as air, strong and sturdy. The middle 1,200 have layered blossoms and sweet fruit. They ripen once every 6,000 years. Eat one, and you can soar on clouds and mists, never growing old. The final 1,200 in the back have purple streaks on the skin and pale yellow pits. They ripen once every 9,000 years. Eat one of those, and your life will be as long as heaven and earth. You'll live as long as the sun and moon shine. Wukong was overjoyed. He checked the tree count, inspected the pavilions, and then headed back home. After that, he'd visit the garden every few days to admire it. He stopped visiting friends. No more wandering around either. Then one day, he noticed that most of the peaches on the old trees had ripened. His mouth watered for a fresh taste. The problem? That earth god, the workers, and his own clerks never let him out of their sight. But a plan came to him. "You lot," he said, "wait outside the gate. I need to rest for a bit in this pavilion." As soon as they'd all gone, the Monkey King slipped off his cap, shed his robes, and climbed high into a big tree. He picked the biggest, ripest peaches he could find and started eating right there on the branch, taking his sweet time. When his belly was full, he jumped down, put on his clothes, and called his attendants to return home. Every 2 or 3 days, he'd pull the same trick to steal more peaches, eating his fill whenever he pleased. Now, the royal mother decided to host a grand banquet. She opened wide her treasure pavilion at the Jade Pool for the Grand Peach Festival. She sent 7 fairy maidens, dressed in red, white, blue, black, purple, yellow, and green, each carrying a flower basket on her head, to pick peaches from the garden. When the 7 maidens reached the garden gate, they found the earth god, the workers, and the clerks all standing guard. The maidens said, "We come by the royal mother's decree to pick peaches for the banquet." The earth god held up his hands. "Please wait, dear maidens. This year's different. The Jade Emperor has put the great sage equal to heaven in charge here. We can't open the garden without his permission." "Where is this great sage?" the maidens asked. "Inside the garden," the earth god said. "He was tired and fell asleep in a pavilion." "Well then, let's go find him. We can't afford any delay." So the earth god led them in, but when they reached the pavilion, the great sage was gone. His cap and robe were there, but where was the monkey? They searched all around, but couldn't find him. What they didn't know was that after eating a few peaches, the great sage had shrunk himself to 2 inches tall and was fast asleep under a thick cluster of leaves at the top of a big tree. The 7 maidens fretted. "We came by royal decree, but we can't find the great sage. We can't go back empty-handed." One of the clerks said, "Ladies, if you're here on orders, don't wait. Our great sage likes to roam. He probably went to visit friends. You go ahead and pick the peaches. We'll explain things to him later." The maidens took the clerk's advice and headed into the grove. They picked 2 baskets from the front trees, 3 baskets from the middle trees. But when they reached the back trees, the branches were nearly bare, just a few fuzzy, hard, green ones left. The ripe peaches? The Monkey King had eaten every single one. The maidens searched and searched. Finally, on a south-facing branch, they spotted one single peach, half red, half white. The blue-robed maiden pulled the branch down. The red-robed maiden plucked the peach. Then she let the branch snap back up. Guess what? That was the very branch where the transformed great sage lay sleeping. The snap jolted him awake. He instantly returned to his true form, pulled the golden cudgel from his ear, shook it to bowl thickness, and roared, "Who are you monsters? And how dare you steal my peaches?" The 7 maidens dropped to their knees in terror. "Great sage, please calm down. We're not monsters. We're the 7 fairy maidens, sent by the royal mother to pick peaches for the grand festival. When we arrived, we met the earth god but couldn't find you, great sage. We were afraid of missing the royal mother's deadline, so we couldn't wait. We beg you, please forgive us." Hearing this, Wukong's anger melted into a smile. "Rise, rise, maidens. Now, tell me, who else is the royal mother inviting to this feast?" The maidens said, "It follows the old tradition. She's inviting the Buddha of the Western Heaven, the Bodhisattvas, and the Arhats, the Guanyin of the South Pole, the merciful sage emperors of the East, the immortal elders of the 10 continents and 3 islands, the mystic divinity of the North Pole, the great yellow-horned immortal of the Yellow Pole from the center. These are the 5 ancient lords of the 5 directions. In addition, there are the star spirits of the 5 poles. From the upper 8 caves, there are the 3 pure ones, the 4 emperors, the heavenly immortal of the great monad. From the middle 8 caves, there are the Jade Emperor, the immortals of the 9 mounds, the gods of the seas and mountains. From the lower 8 caves, there are the hierarch of the underworld and the terrestrial immortals. The immortals from every palace and every hall will attend the Grand Peach Festival." The great sage grinned. "So, was I invited?" The maiden said, "We haven't heard your name mentioned." Wukong's grin faded. "I'm the great sage equal to heaven. What would be wrong with having old Sun sit at the head of the table?" The maiden said carefully, "We were just recalling the last festival's guest list. We don't know the plans for this one yet." The great sage nodded. "Fair enough. I can't blame you. Now, just stand still here for a bit." Let old Sun go investigate whether I'm on the list or not." And with that, the great sage formed a magic sign, muttered a spell, and shouted, "Freeze! Freeze! Freeze!" It was the magic of immobilization. Instantly, all 7 maidens stood rigid, eyes wide and glazed, frozen beneath the peach trees. Wukong then leaped onto a cloud, soared out of the garden, and headed straight for the jade pool. Along the way, he suddenly saw something ahead. Auspicious clouds drifted through the sky, their light shimmering and swaying, multicolored clouds swirling endlessly, white cranes calling out across the 9 heavens, and purple Ganoderma gleamed with beauty, their caps spreading like thousands of leaves. From the center stepped out an immortal, striking and natural, with rainbow-like robes flowing and shimmering across the clouds. He wore a precious Taoist talisman at his waist, which granted him eternal life. This was the Barefoot Immortal, on his way to the Peach Festival to add more years to his life. Wukong spotted him and immediately hatched a plan. He'd trick this immortal to sneak into the feast himself. He called out, "Old Taoist, where are you headed?" The Barefoot Immortal replied, "I've been summoned by the Royal Mother to the Grand Peach Festival." "Well, old friend, you haven't heard," Wukong said smoothly. "Because Old Sun's somersault cloud is so fast, the Jade Emperor sent me along 5 routes to round up all the guests. He wants everyone to gather at the translucent palace first to rehearse the rites. Then we all head to the banquet together." Now, the Barefoot Immortal was an honest man, so he took this lie as truth. "That's strange," he said. "We always rehearse the rites and give thanks at the jade pool itself. So why go to the translucent palace first this year, and only then to the jade pool for the banquet?" But he had no reason to doubt, so he turned his cloud around and headed for that palace. Meanwhile, the great sage muttered another spell, shook his body, and transformed himself into an exact copy of the Barefoot Immortal. He rushed straight to the jade pool. Soon, he arrived before the treasure pavilion, reined in his cloud, and stepped quietly inside. Oh, the scene there. Jade-like incense smoke curled through the air, and colorful auspicious clouds floated everywhere. The terrace was spread with colorful brocades, and the pavilion was filled with swirling fragrance. Phoenixes danced in the air. Golden flowers and jade-colored sepals shimmered and swayed in the shifting light. Up above, there were screens embroidered with 9 phoenixes on red clouds, and the 8 treasure cushions were covered with purple cloud patterns. Long tables, painted in colorful gold-painted designs, jade basins, carved with thousands of flowers. On the tables were dragon liver, phoenix marrow, bear paw, and orangutan lip. Hundreds of delicacies from land and sea. Every dish was exquisite, and every exotic fruit and fine dish was perfectly fresh. Everything was set up perfectly, but no guests had arrived yet. As Wukong gazed around, a sudden whiff of wine hit his nose. He spun around. Under a corridor to the right, several wine-making immortals and strongmen, plus water carriers and fire tenders, were busy washing vats and jars. They'd already brewed the most heavenly wines and finest vintages. Wukong's mouth watered uncontrollably. He wanted some badly, but all those workers were still there. So he worked some magic. He plucked a few hairs, chewed them up, and spat them out with a spell. Transform. The hairs turned into little sleep-inducing bugs that flew right onto the workers' faces. Instantly, those people's hands went limp, their heads drooped, and their eyes shut. They dropped what they were doing and dozed off. Now, the great sage grabbed armfuls of the finest dishes and went into the corridor. He leaned against the wine vats, settled in beside the jars, and drank his fill without holding back. He ate and drank for a long time until he was completely drunk. Then a sobering thought hit him. Oh, not good. The guests will show up any minute. They'll blame me for sure. If I get caught, what then? Better sneak back home and sleep this off. What a great sage. Off he went, stumbling and swaying, bumping into things as the wine took control. He took a wrong turn, and instead of reaching his own residence, he ended up at the Tishita Palace. The moment he saw this place, it suddenly dawned on him. He said, "This palace sits above the 33 heavens. It's where the Grand Supreme elderly Lord Lao lives. How'd I end up here? Well, I've been meaning to visit the old man anyway. Since I'm here, I might as well pay him a visit." He straightened his clothes and barged right in, but Lord Lao was nowhere to be seen. The place seemed empty. As it turned out, Lord Lao and the ancient Buddha de Pomkar Rar were giving a lecture on the Dao on the Crimson Elixir Terrace, high up in a 3-story pavilion. All his heavenly attendants, generals, officers, and clerks stood on both sides, listening to the lecture. The great sage wandered into the elixir room. No one around. Just a fire burning beside the furnace. Around the furnace were 5 gourds, all filled with freshly refined golden elixir pills. Wukong's heart leaped. This stuff is the highest treasure of the immortals. Ever since old Sun attained the Dao, I've already understood how inner and outer alchemy work. I want to refine some elixirs to help the world, but I've never had the time. Today, by luck, I've stumbled upon these treasures. Since the old man's not here, let me try a few pills, just to have a taste of something new. He tipped those gourds over and poured out every single pill. Then he ate them all, as casually as if he were munching on roasted beans. Soon, the elixir took effect. His drunkenness cleared, and a terrifying realization settled in. Oh no, this is worse than anything I've done before. If the Jade Emperor finds out, my life is over. Run, run, run. I've got to get back to the lower region and be a king again. He bolted from the Tishita Palace, but didn't take the same path back. Instead, he used an invisibility spell and escaped through the western heavenly gate. Then he brought his cloud down and landed right back on Flower Fruit Mountain. There, he saw banners flashing and weapons gleaming. The 4 mighty commanders and the demon kings of the 72 caves were drilling their troops. Wukong shouted loudly, "Boys, I'm back." All the monsters dropped their weapons and knelt. "Great Sage, you're so carefree. You left us for so long without even coming back to visit." Wukong said, "Not long at all. Not long at all." He kept walking until he reached the heart of the Water Curtain Cave. The 4 mighty commanders tidied up, invited him to rest, kowtowed, and then asked, "Great Sage, you've been up in heaven for over 100 years. What official rank did they give you this time?" The Great Sage laughed. "I remember being gone just over half a year. How can you say 100 years?" The mighty commanders answered, "1 day in heaven is 1 whole year down here." Wukong grinned. "Well, I'm happy to say, this time, the Jade Emperor showed me real respect. He really did make me Great Sage equal to heaven. He built me a whole residence, set up 2 bureaus with immortal attendants. Later, since I had nothing to do, he put me in charge of the Garden of Immortal Peaches. But then the royal mother threw her grand peach festival and didn't invite me. So I didn't wait for an invitation. I went straight to the Jade Pool myself and ate all her immortal food and drank all her immortal wine. On my way out, I blundered into Lord Lao's palace and ate every one of his golden elixir pills too, 5 gourds worth. I was afraid the Jade Emperor would punish me, so I just ran. And here I am." The monsters were thrilled. They immediately set out wine and fruit to welcome him back, pouring a big stone bowl full of coconut wine and offering it to him. The Great Sage took a sip and grimaced. "This tastes terrible, just terrible." Generals Burn and Ba said, "Great Sage, you've been drinking heavenly wine up there. No wonder our coconut wine doesn't taste as good. But as the old saying goes, tasty or not, it's water from home." The Great Sage smiled. "And all of you are, related or not, people from home. This morning at the Jade Pool, I saw lots of bottles and jars full of that heavenly jade liquor under the long corridor. None of you has tasted it. Let me go steal a few more bottles. If each of you drinks just half a cup, you'll all live forever." The monkeys went absolutely wild with joy. The Great Sage left the cave, did a somersault, used his invisibility spell, and returned to the Grand Peach Festival. Inside the Jade Pool Palace, those winemakers, water carriers, and fire tenders were still snoring away. He tucked 2 large bottles under each arm and grabbed 2 more in each hand, then flew back on his cloud. He gathered all the monkeys in the cave for what they called the Heavenly Wine Party. Everyone drank a few cups in pure happiness. But we won't talk about that now. Let's go back to those 7 fairy maidens. After Wukong froze them, a full day and night passed before the spell wore off. They picked up their flower baskets and returned to the royal mother. "The Great Sage equal to heaven used magic to trap us," they reported. "That's why we're so late." The royal mother asked, "How many peaches did you pick?" The maidens answered, "Only 2 baskets of small peaches and 3 baskets of medium ones. When we went to the back trees, there were no big peaches left at all. The Great Sage must have eaten them. While we were searching, he suddenly charged out, acting violently and demanding to know who was invited. We described the last festival's guest list, and then he froze us in place. We have no idea where he went after that. We only just regained control of our bodies." The royal mother immediately went to the Jade Emperor and told him everything. Before she even finished, the winemaking immortals and officials arrived, saying, Someone broke up the Grand Peach Festival, stole and drank the jade liquor, and ate all the rare delicacies. Then 4 great celestial masters announced, "The Supreme Patriarch of Dao has arrived." The Jade Emperor and Royal Mother went to greet him. After performing his courtesies, Lord Lao said, "I had refined some Nine-Cycles Golden Elixirs for your Majesty's upcoming elixir assembly, but someone has stolen it all. I came to report this immediately." The Jade Emperor felt a chill of fear. Then the clerks from the Great Sage's residence kowtowed and reported, "The Great Sage has abandoned his post. He went out roaming yesterday and hasn't come back. We don't know where he is." The Jade Emperor's suspicions deepened. Just then, the Barefoot immortal bowed and spoke. "I was summoned by the Royal Mother to the banquet. On the way, I happened to meet the Great Sage equal to heaven. He told me your Majesty had sent him to invite us to the translucent palace to rehearse the rituals first. I believed him and went there, but there was no sign of your Majesty's dragon carriage. So I hurried here instead." The Jade Emperor's expression turned to shock and anger. "This wretch lied about my decree to fool my loyal minister. Send the Divine Officer of Inspection to track down this wretch at once." The Divine Officer of Inspection received the order, went searching far and wide, and soon discovered the whole truth. He returned and reported, "The one who disrupted the heavenly palace is the Great Sage equal to heaven." Then he laid out everything that had happened in full detail. The Jade Emperor was furious. He immediately ordered the 4 heavenly kings, Heavenly King Li, Prince Nezha, the 28 Constellations, the 9 Luminaries, the 12 earthly branches, the fearless guards of the 5 directions, the 4 temporal guardians, the star lords of the east and west, the gods of the south and north, the deities of the 5 mountains and the 4 rivers, the star spirits of the entire heaven, 100,000 heavenly troops in all, to set up 18 layers of skynets and earth-snares and descend to the lower region. They were to surround the Flower Fruit Mountain completely and capture that wretch for punishment. The divine army mobilized at once and left the heavenly palace. As they descended, yellow winds rolled like waves, blotting out the sun. Purple mists churned, shrouding the earth in gloom. All because that monkey had defied the Jade Emperor. The saints of heaven now marched to the mortal world. The 4 heavenly kings took command, while the fearless guardians of the 5 directions marshaled the troops. The pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li directed the central army, with fierce Nezha as the captain of his vanguard forces. The star of Rahu inspected the front lines, and the star of Ketu followed close behind in full might. The moon star Soma was spirited and bold. The sun star Adiphier blazed bright and clear. The star spirits of the 5 elements were especially valiant, and the 9 luminaries loved nothing more than a good fight. The 12 earthly branches each had their corresponding position. Zi, Wu, Mao, Yo. Among them, and everyone was a mighty heavenly warrior. The 5 plague gods and the 5 sacred mountain deities formed ranks east and west, while the 6 gods of Yin and the 6 gods of Yang flanked them left and right. The dragon gods of the 4 rivers held the upper and lower fronts, and the 28 constellations gathered in dense layers. Among the 28, horn, neck, root, and room were the captains. Legs, bond, stomach, and hairy head loved to charge and turn the tide. Dipper, ox, girl, emptiness, rooftop, encampment, and wall, each had his own skills. Heart, tail, and winnowing basket all brought their talents too. Well, ghost, willow, star, extended net, wings, and chariot all wield their spears and flourish their swords, flashing with divine might. They lowered their clouds and mists, descending upon the mortal world, and set up camp before Flower Fruit Mountain. As the poem says, the heaven-born stone monkey was full of tricks, stealing elixirs and wine in his mountain den for kicks. He threw the Grand Peach Festival into chaos. So 100,000 heavenly troops with nets and snares came. Heavenly King Li took command. He ordered the troops to set up camp and surround the mountain so tightly that not a single drop of water could leak through. They deployed 18 layers of nets above and below. Then he sent the 9 fierce luminaries to lead the first attack. The 9 luminaries advanced straight to the water curtain cave, where they found monkeys of all sizes leaping and playing. They shouted, "Little demons, where's your great sage? We're divine generals sent by heaven to subdue your rebellious leader. Tell him to come out and surrender now. Say half a word of refusal, and every last one of you dies." The little monkeys scrambled inside in panic. "Great sage, disaster, There are 9 fierce gods outside, claiming they're from heaven, demanding your surrender. At that moment, the great sage was drinking heavenly wine with the demon kings of the 72 caves and his 4 mighty commanders. He heard the report and said dismissively, "If you have wine today, get drunk today. Don't bother with the troubles outside the gate." Before he finished, more monkeys rushed in. "Those 9 gods are cursing outside and challenging us to fight." The great sage laughed. "Ignore them. Drink wine, write poems, enjoy the day. Don't ask when fame and glory will come." Before he could finish those words, yet another wave of monkeys burst in. "Grandfather, the 9 gods have smashed the gate and are fighting their way inside." Now the great sage flared with anger. "These puny gods have no manners. I wasn't going to bother with them, but they come to my door and bully me? Unforgivable." He ordered the single-horned demon king to lead the demon kings of the 72 caves into battle, while he followed with his 4 mighty commanders as backup. The demon king rushed out with his demon troops, but the 9 luminaries swept forward together and pinned them down at the head of the iron bridge. The demon troops couldn't break through. In the middle of the chaos, the great sage arrived. "Out of my way." He pulled out his iron cudgel, shook it to bull thickness and 12 feet long, and swung into action, fighting his way out. None of the 9 luminaries dared face him directly. They all staggered backward. Regrouping, the 9 luminaries shouted, "You reckless monkey, do you know you've committed the 10 unforgivable crimes? First you stole peaches, then heavenly wine. You trashed the Grand Peach Festival. You stole Lord Lao's elixir. And now you've stolen the imperial wine for your own pleasure here. Crime upon crime, don't you understand?" The great sage laughed. "Those things. Yeah, I did them. I really did. So what are you going to do about it?" The 9 luminaries answered, "We're here by the Jade Emperor's golden decree to capture you. Surrender quickly. Spare these innocent creatures. If you don't, we'll level this mountain and flip your cave inside out." The great sage roared, "How much power do you puny gods think you have? How dare you talk such big words? Don't run away. Taste old Sun's cudgel." All the 9 luminaries charged at once. The handsome monkey king didn't flinch. He swung his golden cudgel, blocking left, striking right, fighting them until every one of them was exhausted. One by one, they dragged their weapons and fled back to camp. They rushed into the central tent and told the pagoda-bearing heavenly king, "That monkey king is unbelievably fierce. We can't beat him. We've been driven back." Heavenly King Li immediately deployed the 4 heavenly kings and the 28 constellations, sending them all into battle together. The great sage showed no fear at all. He called out the single-horned demon king, the 72 cave kings, and his 4 mighty commanders, forming up their ranks outside the cave. What a battle it was! Terrifying, chaotic, and earth-shaking. A cold wind shrieked. Strange mists pressed down, dark and heavy. On one side, banners flew in brilliant colors. On the other side, spears and halberds gleamed. Waves of helmets glittered under the sun like silver gongs crashing against the sky. Layers of armor piled up like cliffs, like an iceberg pressing down on the earth. Big cleaving blades swung like lightning through flying clouds. Lances stabbed through mists and pierced the fog. Halberds and whips stood thick as a forest. Bronze swords and 4 bright shovels formed tight formations. Bows bent, crossbows snapped, arrows flew. Serpent-headed spears and short clubs struck at the soul. The great sage's single cudgel danced through it all, flipping and spinning as he battled the heavenly gods. The sky emptied of birds. The mountains, tigers, and leopards fled in terror. Sand flew, rocks tumbled, heaven and earth turned black. Dust filled the universe until nothing was clear. The crashing and clashing shook creation itself. The ferocity of battle made the demons shudder. They fought from early morning until the sun sank behind the western hills. By then, the single-horned demon king and all the monsters of the 72 caves had been captured by the heavenly forces. Only the 4 mighty commanders and their monkey troops escaped, hiding deep inside the water curtain cave. The great sage, with one cudgel, held off the 4 heavenly kings, Li the pagoda-bearer, and Prince Nezha, all in midair. The battle raged on for a long, long time. As the sky was getting dark, the great sage plucked a handful of his hairs, chewed them up, and spat them out with a shout, "Transform!" In an instant, there were thousands of great sages, every one swinging a golden cudgel. They drove back Prince Nezha and beat all 5 heavenly kings. Victorious, the great sage recalled his hairs and hurried back to the cave. At the head of the iron bridge, He already saw the 4 mighty commanders and the monkeys kowtowing to welcome him. They sobbed loudly 3 times, then burst out laughing 3 times. The great sage asked, "What's this, crying and laughing when you see me?" The 4 mighty commanders said, "This morning we went to battle the heavenly kings, and all the demon kings of the 72 caves were captured, along with the single-horned demon king. We escaped by sheer luck, so we should cry. But now we see you, great sage, returning victorious without a scratch, so we should laugh." The great sage waved this off. Victory and defeat, that's part of every battle. The ancients said, "Kill 10,000, and you lose 3,000 of your own." Besides, the ones captured were tigers, leopards, wolves, badgers, deer, foxes. None of our own monkey kind were hurt. What's there to worry about? I drove them off with my magic of body division, sure, but they'll still camp at the foot of our mountain. So, for now, let's tighten our defenses. Eat a good meal, get some rest, and regain our strength. Tomorrow at dawn, watch me use my true powers and capture those heavenly generals. I'll avenge everyone. The 4 mighty commanders and the monkeys drank a few more bowls of coconut wine and went to sleep peacefully. But we'll leave them here. As for the 4 heavenly kings, they withdrew and tallied their results. Some had caught tigers and leopards. Some had caught lions and elephants. Some had caught wolves, foxes, and badgers. But not a single monkey had been captured. They set up a proper fortified camp, rewarded the meritorious soldiers, and gave strict orders to those manning the celestial nets. Every soldier rang his bell and shouted the watchword, tightly surrounding Flower Fruit Mountain layer upon layer. They waited only for the great battle that would come at dawn. Each had his orders and guarded his post with care. And so it was. The demon monkey's chaos startled heaven and earth. The skynets and earth-snares were cast to watch him day and night. After stealing the Peaches of Immortality, the heavenly wine, and the sacred elixirs of Lord Lao, Sun Wukong had gained power beyond imagination. But his defiance had finally pushed heaven to its limit. In the next chapter, the greatest battle of his legend is about to begin.